All right, guys, happy Sunday, and let's get Misty in here. This one I had to work on today. Coin I had done on Friday, just never got around to getting it uploaded. I had a busy weekend. People's busy, 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 working on a new channel that has nothing to do with finances, dividends, anything like that. So I'll share with you guys a little bit when I get it up. I think most people will be interested in it. It's an area I've always been interested in, enjoy in my free time and relaxation, like watching. Okay, so on 8/16, Misty and MSTR, they won their weeklies. That's super positive, right? But we were pretty under. They were written at 141, and we only got up to 133.04. So it's funny how sometimes coin will lead in these, even with regardless of what BTC does, and other times MSTR, and a lot of times post split companies don't do as well. Just the typical is you announce a stock split and then you get a lot of movement. Depends on how far out. Some of them are 2 weeks away from the announcement. Some of them are a month. Some of them are, a week. There's generally some lead time. And the stocks tend to move up as a generalization. And as a generalization, they'll move down afterwards. But there's also bigger, if BTC moves up aggressively, um, then you're going to see um, MSTR move up regardless. I did, just as a side note for some of you I was mentioning, I had bought a couple hundred shares of MSTR, I think the Friday before this Friday expiration. So I bought it either Thursday afternoon or Friday morning on the 8th, or the afternoon of the 8th, or the Friday morning, the 9th. And I wrote my own, in this case, it was covered call. And I got like $10 on and I bought it around 130, under 150, but I wrote the 130.5. So it was fascinating. This thing, I was looking at it saying, man, I could have traded this stock between 130 and 135 25 times, it seemed like, over the course of the last week, only because you hold this option do you look at it so closely. And I thought about several times buying the option back, trying to sell it for more. And at the end of the day, I said, I kind of hope I get called out. And sure enough, um, I got called out. It wasn't close enough. Had it been right at 130.5, I might have considered buying it back and rewriting it for a few pennies or something. Uh, but in this case, it just on Saturday, I knew I was going to get called out, and I got my, $10 on 200 shares, which is two contracts, which is a little over 2,000. It was 10 and change. So I'll take that every day on a 26,000 investment, getting 2,000 back in a week, essentially. Okay, guys. So I mean, I do these things. That's not a synthetic, and I do synthetics at times if I feel strongly. And I also use the inverse, like I've talked to you guys about. Um, I'll go long or short, a 1x or a 2x on the underlying. Um, so let's jump in. So they successfully bought these back at 18 cents, sold it for 360 on Wednesday of the week. They had written, because they had shares purchased, right? They wrote a 140 and got $3. So it's funny how the premiums have dropped or something, and they're trading a little higher, but they were writing 138.50s and 138 on this big guy. That's 3.73. Just I know one of my guys, history guy, scalps, and a shout out to you on your comments on coin. But I I'm not always the biggest fan of this scripted mentality. I've shared with you guys some of it. And that means, they always look to buy back their Friday weeklies if they can. Sure, they'll buy them back once in a while on a Thursday if they have a 98% gain. But why not try and catch the lows and the highs? I know they're not market timers, but if you do this consistently on Fridays, those market makers know what you're doing, and they're going to maybe not give you as good a bid and ask on the spreads on what you're doing, because you're a big volume player and every little bit they can scalp makes more money. So I find it interesting that, here 2 days before they were at 130, so it was a little further out of the money. It was 7.39 out of the money, and they did get better premium. So I take back a little bit. That makes sense, but and they couldn't necessarily. Well, they probably could have bought this 141 back on Wednesday. They probably had an 80% gain in it because it was far underneath the money, and then wait for it to rise up to then write. But there's that trade off between time premium loss from 7 trading days to 5 trading days. But it is interesting that they do this just on that every Friday. It seems to me like they could wait till Monday and Tuesday, and if the stock rose up pretty well, then write their call. I know that's trying to time the market a little bit, but there's some ability to do that if you're really a skilled tactician. And I'm assuming they're not hiring ignorant people to do these option trades. So anyway, just a little thought there. Let's go on. So what did have some shares bought. Um, on Thursday they were 25,000. They didn't do anything with that. So they had 425,000, but so they did put a small amount of shares on a synthetic. So not all of these were just the roll trades. Obviously, this was the roll trade, right? The 29,750, bought it back, resold it. This guy that was put on Friday came out of the shares being bought. So what did they do? They went out to their current 139 synthetic and they bought being below it, right? Trading in 131, 132, they ended 133. They're well below that, so they bought a call for 1475 and sold a put for 2155. So we added another 500,000-600,000 to the kitty over in our synthetic, and we were really killed over there when we got out of our 250. So any little bit helps. And then they wrote a 138.5 out next week at 823 for 800 contracts. Notice the matching in all the pairs. Synthetic, these two, and just covered call strategy, which is a naked call. So they sold that for 2.3. And this is the closing of the 816, 141, which they were $8 under. And then the resell for the week of 823, although that's much tighter. So let's go look at the weeklies on that front. So that's all the trades and transactions. So what does that leave us with? Well, that leaves us these earlier ones they wrote, which turned out to be the highest percent out of the money, 5%. This small amount that they wrote earlier for 4.1% away from the money. And then this one, the big bulk, they wrote a 138. I know they're trying to maximize money, but guys, that's crypto. This thing could go to 138 on Monday. I mean, that's $5 from 133 to 138, and then you risk getting capped. So I like that they're laddering, but I don't like that they wrote that huge amount so close. If you want to do something write 10,000 there and go up to 140 or 141 and write your other 20. And you could do 10 and 10 and 10, minus the 250 there a little bit. So I don't know. It's not really nitpicking. It comes down to meaning something usually. Okay, so that's my thoughts. Let's look at holdings. That tells us a lot. So, did I update this? Hang on, maybe I didn't. I got the data, but did I update it? No, I did not. Let me do that real fast. This is 20. So this is more positive because they moved up a little bit of money. 53988. And what's the call worth? The call is worth 16,075. Not much difference. Okay. So what did we move down from? We moved from 20 to 13. I'll take it. I'll update these charts later. I don't want to take your time on that. So, needless to say, they got out of this, right? And they got out of this at 18 cents. So we collected 94.74. And on this guy, we now have new trades, and I'll enter those. But in general, let's see, what are we on our 138? It's at 294. Yeah, we're behind on that guy a little bit. So I'll update these. We're losing a little bit, it went down more. Um, I'll update those for you guys by the time you see on uh, Monday after Monday's close. But at least I told you what they were written at. And this has gotten better. This is only a 13 million loss. So let's go jump over here and take a look in payouts because that's the biggest thing. So we added a lot here, right? We sold a lot more calls. I'm not completely happy with the strike prices. We got a little bit more money when we went out to this 139. Right, we got about 600,000, the difference between 1-1 buying the calls and 1-7 selling the puts. But that's not really going to put the dent. We got to get up past this 139. Now, that thing's written way out there to 1018, so we have a lot of time. But my issue is, do we want to do well this month? Of course we do, right? So if we win all of this week's, and that's a big if with that 138 price looming, but let's say we do, then we haven't knocked this down at all. We're still going to have a 13 million loss. We're not going to go up much. Um, so we need to figure out a way to get some more money in here. So again, how do you look at this? Is $1.02 on this, assuming we keep it all. It's a big assumption. But our total, because this is so big, right? This is more than, it's $2.30 or something based on the amount of, oops, I did not update the share count. Sorry about that, guys. 18,525. And right now it doesn't matter too much about, I might as well put this in here just so you see it. 436 730 580. Okay. Let's get this guy updated. 83. Yeah, 2348 versus 2358. So, not a lot there, guys. I'm happy that this is down some, right? 73 cents, but I don't want it to be a loss at all on that synthetic because how are we going to get out from under that 46 million loss, which is over $2 and something? All right, guys, that's what I got for you from Misty. Let's hope MSTR can move, but honestly, we got 30,000 contracts rounded at 138. So that's less than, we can only move about $4.50 considering we're setting, well, $4.96 to be exact, guys, for the whole week. All right. This is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Hopefully it's for fun and hopefully you were entertained. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye for now.